Hello, and welcome to another edition of Why Are You Laughing at Me with Gherkin Picklewater. Today I am joined by Bee Baumann. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes,
Wonderful. Bee, can you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
yes. So I'm full disclosure, Annabelle Bee Baumann, and I'm a stand-up comedian, writer, communication coach in Heidelberg, Germany. So I moved here in 2005 and was an English trainer, and then found my voice and felt that there needed to be more work around communication. So I moved into that field and also became a motivational speaker.
That's a lot of stuff, but I mean that's 21 years. That's you've been there for a while. What brought you to Germany in the first place?
Love. So I came with my husband. I have two children. We got them into college first. And then we moved to a small village where his parents lived to support them later in life.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we came in 2005 to support his elderly parents. They passed away, both of them within the first 8 years, and we stayed, and this has been my journey. Now my kids come out, or I go, or we go to the US. That was happening every year, and unfortunately then COVID messed it up, and now it's just gotten all off track, and now we're like talking about where in the world can we meet.
Um, so you're a stand-up comedian and you do coaching, and part of what you do, if I understand correctly, is coaching on using comedy and humor in your work and presentation. Is that correct?
It's a little bit different, and
Okay.
it's a little bit of a gray area because what I did is I created something I call stand-up communication.
Okay.
So I'm more teaching confidence by using the tools of humor to help people learn how to stand on stage, be more confident, and be present as a stand-up comedian would be. So I'm not teaching people how to tell jokes at
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
It's more how to be present, confident, and own the stage.
So how do those skills roll over into being a public speaker in general from the stand up world? What aspects do you most pull on when trying to bring people into that level of confidence?
The aspects I pull on from my stand-up comedy background is the idea that as comedians, we have to be aware of the audience, we have to be strategic with our language, and we have to be present on stage. Like that's what we have to do to own a room. When I work with clients who want to have that kind of confidence when they're presenting, when they have to stand up at meetings, when they have to confront someone, I help them learn how language works and how to have that presence and understand an audience and pull from your audience, and yeah, and show up as yourself to get from the layers. What I actually do in my stand up courses is at the end of 7 weeks, they have to produce 5 minutes worth of material.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so what I'm sort of showing them at the same time is to be a comedian is to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
Like you have to be vulnerable, and you're not laughing at the audience, you're getting the audience to laugh at you or in your positions and things like that. And a lot of people are very tight and reserved and guarded, and so it's trying to show them that by being vulnerable, they're actually at their most powerful.
That's interesting. We the dogma that how do I put this? So not the dogma I my background is in clown and improvisation. I only recently started doing stand up to a very limited degree. I have about a tight 1.5 that I do in my stage, my one man show that slips into stand up for a little while for about like 2 minutes. But our dogma, the dogma that I hold, is that if we look at the comedian like if we look at people like they were wolves or animals of some kind, because we all are. We are pack animals at our core. By being a comedian, by being the one who's drawing the focus of the humor, you are saying I'm outside of society momentarily. In this way, I'm outside of the pack. I am someone who is crossing the line in some way, and that brings you guys together as a tribe to ostracize me in some way, to push me out a little farther based on the things that I'm saying or doing. That brings you together, makes you feel stronger, makes you feel healthier. But at the same time, I have the power to guide that that reaction, how people are going to view it. I can say, let's look at this thing and ostracize it. Let's look at this thing, or let's look at me and see a reflection of me in yourself. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's very much in line with the kind of philosophy I have towards humor. What drew you to this type of work in the first place? Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say on that, something that I always say as well is when you say about pack animal and also the tribe, we when we're standing up there alone and people are looking at us as humans, we don't normally look that intently at anything but food. So so yeah, so there is a sort of rawness there, like you say, a pack village feel. I really like what you said there.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. What drew you to what you're doing now? What? Oh, sorry, the camera keeps jumping around. What brought you to this line of work?
I came at it sort of, I backed into it kind of because my my background was that I when I moved to Germany, basically I was planning to retire. Like I was just happy to have a wonderful husband, and I just sort of thought I was going to, you know, garden, which I don't even like to do, but I and bake bread, which I also don't like to do, but I had to find these things out. And so also, let me back up just a little further, even, and say I struggle from an anxiety disorder. That's part of my reason for sort of withdrawing and always wanting to withdraw from people. And when I got to Germany, I missed hearing English. I missed the language and some community. And so my husband um, found Toastmasters for me in Heidelberg, Germany. And so I went to just listen. And then, but I do have a bachelor's in English, so I do love the language. So for me, it was a passion met, and I was happy to meet people who also enjoy the language. And I found my voice, and I started speaking up in Toastmasters. And once I started doing competition in Toastmasters, I gravitated more towards humor because that's what helped my anxiety. Because I really don't want to, or I really sort of didn't want to be up there as much as I did want to be up there. So I was always struggling with anxiety. And what I found that helped with that anxiety was making people laugh, was laughing myself, and it brought that nervous tension down and and cured some of the anxiety. And then I was like, aha. And so I was in Toastmasters for like 12 years. And honestly, I don't think you ever get out of Toastmasters because I'm still going to events or doing something here and there with them. And they're a great organization. But when I did leave Toastmasters officially, I was like, where can I use my voice? Like, where can I use my voice now? And how? And because I liked comedy, and I liked comedy as a tool. I'm not someone who came to comedy sort of like because I wanted to make people laugh. I came to it because I saw it even from my students, because I was teaching business English in Germany. I saw it as a way to bring down their tension and anxiety level. So humor was this way to say, relax, it's all good. And so that's how I started using humor. And that's how I came to it. Because growing up, comedy in my neighborhood was like the Dirty Dozens. Like it was all about like attacking people and shame, and it was this defense mechanism that we used more than anything else. And so, and I wasn't that funny as a kid. I wasn't someone who I, I was a kid more of whimsy, like,
Okay.
you know, a little bit odd and whimsical
Mhm.
was sort of my feeling. And so I came to comedy very late in life, late 40s. And I decided to do stand-up comedy because I thought that'll be a way to be out, to be with people. And again, the bar is lowered. If you're in a bar with people drinking, there's a different dynamic than if you're sitting in a boardroom with people. So that again, I lowered the bar and then I was able to get over it. And so I started doing stand up and I thought, hmm, how can I help? Again, it's all about helping people. And I thought, how can I help others? And I thought, I can become a motivational speaker because I can speak about my anxiety disorder, about the fact that I'm a baby boomer who was born in this sort of, who was raised as a woman to believe in fairy tales. And I used to have on my website, you know, that I'm a fairy tales, that I basically was raised to believe in princes and princesses and fairy tales, and then that got flipped on us, and then being a princess made you a gold digger, and so it was like, okay, so you know, so it was just a generational thing that I explain in my stand up as well. But that's a long story to say that's how I came to comedy, was late in life and as a way to help others relax.
Wonderful. Um, Coming into stand up, how did those how did that first few stand ups go? How they flow for you, and how did you keep doing it? Uh, Based on, I mean, we'll get into what the theoretical knowledge framework for how you know something is good. But before you could know that you were doing the right stuff, how did those first forays into stand up go?
Well, I was fortunate that a friend, acquaintance of mine, through a site called Meetups,
Yeah.
she owned a group. And so she said, oh, you want to do stand up comedy? And there's a, yeah, no, it no longer exists now, but there was an Irish bar in Heidelberg. And she was like, we go do stand up comedy, look at stand up comedy, watch stand up comedy at this Irish bar, and let me tell them about you. And then you can go on stage. So she basically was like, you want to be on stage? Okay, let me help you make this happen. And she was the catalyst. And I had, I think, 5 minutes worth of material, maybe even, I don't remember if they gave me a limit, but they may have and said 5 minutes, because you know, when you start out, it's not much. And they were letting me do it like before, basically as just the stand up. And as a writer and as a an English major, I'm so into language. I love language. I love playing with words. And so my first 5 minutes, the first 4 minutes went really well. It was like, yeah, this. And so it went really well. And I say the last joke didn't land well. It was sort of rambling, but it was me. It was me on
Yeah.
training wheels. It was me teaching myself because I didn't really have anyone back then. I only once I started going into the community did I meet other people who helped me. But there was a stand-up show in Frankfurt run by a guy named Kirthy, and he would give me like 3 minutes or 2 minutes. He would give anyone who started out new like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And I'm sure you know, for stand-up, that's a long time
Yeah.
when you're starting out. And so, yeah, I had a natural feel for it. I did have a friend who was helping me, and she would always tell me, you're trying to be funny. You're trying to be funny. And so, and I understood what she was saying, but it took a long time. And I don't know that I'm still not still that structured comedian. Like I'm not the off the cuff, just come in and start spouting
Yeah.
anything kind of person. So I like being prepared. So yeah, so those were my first opportunities and they went well. People responded. I responded to the audience and enjoyed it. And you get that bug. Like, even if you feel like, oh, that didn't go well, you still have this bug of like, I'll get them next time. Like, just
Nice.
give me another chance. And so that's how it's been ever since.
Yeah, the skill set for going up there and just riffing is a whole other skill set. Just going up
Yes.
there and making it up on the fly and crowd work. I don't know. Well, it's a streaming service, so you'll probably have access to it in Germany, but I don't know. There's a streaming service called Dropout. Uh, there was a website called College Humor,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a video department that did a lot of great video work. The guy who ran it bought it from the company that was going to shut it down and turn it into a service called Dropout. They have a show called Crowdwork, which is just that. That's all it is. It's comedians coming out, and all the audience have been pre-seeded and selected to have weird stories, and they'll have T-shirts on that say "Ask me about my dump truck" or whatever. And so the comedians up there, and it's a competition between three comedians, and they just pick people in the audience and talk to them and do crowd work, and it is an amazing program. It's on Dropout. I think it's called Crowdwork. It's definitely worth checking out if you get the opportunity.
Yeah, cool.
So, as a comedian, going into comedy specifically, you hone your work by getting in front of people. That's how you make it good. How do you know something is worth putting in front of people before you put it in front of people? What is your theoretical framework for knowing something is going to be good or not?
My theoretical framework for knowing if something is good or not, I think it really is a gut feel for me more than anything. If I sort of if it tickles me, like that's it. I tickle myself. And so if I find it funny, if I think it's a funny premise, then I just feel like other people will think this is funny, finding this out from me because I do more situational, slice of life kind of humor. And so it's in Germany, it's about quirky things I find in the government and in living in a small village. And so, yeah, these things tickle me. So it's things from life, and then they tickle me, and then I try to write them so they tickle other people. And it has what's been hard is sort of finding a community of people that have leveled up to the point where they are teaching. So I had to do that myself. I had to level up and then say, okay, if anyone wants help, then we can work together. Uh, and so, but normally you're right. I don't know. I honestly don't know until I'm in front of the audience and I say the bit, and then it's like maybe I shouldn't have said it, or maybe I shouldn't have said it. Like I have a joke where I talk about bread,
Okay.
but part of the joke is to say like uh, people, people ask me like, did you make it yourself? That's a very like German thing. Like, did you make it yourself? And then I have to say, no, I have AIDS. So I say this joke, and I thought it was funny, great joke, but the word AIDS is so divisive and such a hot button that yeah, people squirm, people get uneasy.
Mhm.
And yeah, I it's like I did know, but at the same time, I did the joke anyway, and saw how it got sort of tossed back in my face and thought, oh, B, you shouldn't have said that, or not that way, or just not used it. Because then if you make the audience nervous, then it's harder for them, of course, to sort of
Yeah.
rebound if they're like, what is she saying about AIDS? So yeah, so that has happened to me that I've thought something was funny and I did not get that confirmation
Yeah.
from the audience. And I've said it to the audience too. Like, I thought that that was a lot funnier than it actually is. Yeah.
And you do have to roll with it when things don't go right. You do have to have that admission that something hasn't gone right, or else it throws it off even farther. He's going to make them even less connected with you. Um, I know for me, I have a very different opinion than some of my colleagues as to the framework. For them, it's what makes the audience laugh, and that's what they're going for is the audience laugh. For me, it's much like you. It's what makes me laugh,
Mm-hmm.
and that means often I'm not making the audience laugh, but I'm a clown, so I'm not doing. When I do my stand up as a clown, there is one joke I tell that the only people who ever laugh at are other clowns, and even then it's 50-50 if they're going to get it, which is and I don't feel like you have to laugh. Why did the mouse go to prison?
Don't know.
Crimes.
Crimes.
That's it. That's the whole joke. He committed crimes, went to prison. But
Thank
that's the whole
you.
joke. It is an absurdist joke. It's a meta joke about the nature of humor, and it is one of those jokes where it's just this is for me, and if the audience comes along with me, that's wonderful, and if not, but that's I think something of a hurdle for me in being a stand-up as opposed to a clown because clown is purely about emotion, vulnerability on an emotional level, where stand up is way more about wordplay. It's still about vulnerability on an emotional level, but you're more physical as a clown. It is physical comedy as opposed to stand up, which is about communicating ideas in a very direct way usually. Um, what are completely changing the topic? What are some of the pros and cons of what you do, both as a stand-up comic and as a coach?
Pros and cons of what I do. For me, I think the pros are that I get to constantly use the language and get in front of people, even as a coach, as uh, teaching my 7 week stand up comedy workshops. I get to also sort of workshop a little bit, like you say, at the meta level of having people deconstruct things that I've said and let's look at it and things like that, and talking about why people laugh. And those are for me, the pros are always being able to work on my craft. They say that people who can't teach, and I would, in a way, agree that you have to feel there's something for you to learn to teach. Like it's
Okay.
that idea of there's something to learn there, something for you to learn, something for you to teach. And so that's why I love teaching stand up communication. I call it stand up communication, and to see other people step into their power, to see other people. I had a client who he owns his own company and he does IT research, and just having him have that moment of, you have to be vulnerable, like, because some people want to, like you said, like comedy is very verbal and you can sort of just talk about, um talk above the audience or talk about the audience, or or just share something. And I was trying to help him understand, like you said about clowning, that you have to be vulnerable. Like, you can't be the hero. The crowd is the hero. You are the underdog. You are, like you said, you're the one that's outside the villagers, and at the best you bring them together. So seeing people have that moment where they understand that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a superpower, actually. Yeah, and so the cons for me, it's just been all upside for me. I because I even like not knowing, I even like being wrong and looking back, like some choices I've made, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, what were you thinking? Like, what were you thinking? And I know what I was thinking. I was thinking this, um, the thing I'm usually thinking when I'm doing stand up is that this will be funny. And if it's not, like you said, then it's like, well, it's on me and it's on the language. And then if I workshop that joke, then I try to see if I can, turn it at a different point or do something, like you said, verbally to make the joke work. So for me, I don't really see a downside. I really just love even the underbelly of humor. And I learn a lot about myself. Like, I'm not a blue comedian. I'm not someone who can, I'm very, sort of, um yeah, hung up on language. That's
Nice.
my hang up.
Um, who or what are some of the inspirations and origins or heroes, inspirations or heroes for you in comedy and in creating your comedy? Where do you draw your inspirations from, and who are the people that you look back on when pulling from your own sense of humor?
I believe it probably started with Irma Bombeck.
Okay.
Oh my God, I think she is the funniest woman who ever walked the planet, or one of the funniest. And she's written a lot, so I love that part of it too, that there's that it's written. um Red Fox, I used to watch Sanford and Sons. I used to love Sanford and Sons. So I like comedians who are sort of like, hey, I'm living this life and I'm doing the best I can. So I like that tone. I like Leslie Jones and Amber Ruffin.
Yeah, love
Um,
Amber Ruffin.
yeah, and so I like I said, sort of the rough around the edges, or the feminine to the extreme, to where it turns into almost a weapon, femininity almost as a weapon. Like, I think of Betty White,
Yeah,
just in Carol Burnett, just to have that level of femininity, and to be able to sharpen it. I think, I'm not sure if it was Betty White who said, I should check it before I say it because I'm not sure, but someone said, why are we so hang up on men's testicles? Like, why are we so hung up on testicles? Actually, a vagina is stronger. A vagina can take hits, and
yeah.
it's just stronger. So I'm gonna say I think Betty White said that, but I'm not sure who said it. Yeah, so that's it. Richard Pryor from my childhood. Just, I love like the scrappy people who are just in it. I love, of course, Dave Chappelle. He's amazing. And then locally for me, there's Judy Carter. Judy Carter wrote the comedy Bible, and I was a student of hers. So she is the one who taught me about motivational humor and coming from your own background, using your background as your, you know, propulsion fuel. And uh, Carl Cease, who also does motivational kind of humor, he wrote a book called I Hope I Messed This Up. And I love that book. I even love the title.
Wonderful. Okay, just maybe three more questions. Um, what is a project that you've always wanted to do and have never been able to?
Well, I want to be on TV. like I, I don't know if I want to be on TV as much as maybe write a character like myself for TV.
Okay,
Like to, yeah, to have something that actually gets turned into a TV program. I would
nice.
love that.
Yeah, I've always felt like we've to get out of where we are financially. It's up to me as the member of our partnership to get the big break at some point, and it is 98% luck, and the rest of it's just preparation. So it's just preparing for those opportunities and hope that you can seize them. What projects are you currently working on, and where can people find your work?
Mm. I am currently working on a one woman show. I did one last year and I'm trying to get it up this year. I've applied to the Prague Festival. So there's a couple of festivals in Europe, but I haven't heard back yet. Otherwise, I have a Linktree account where you can see that I have a YouTube channel. I have
Wonderful.
TikTok, um, and people, if I can get them on a mailing list, and if they
Yeah,
happen to be anywhere around, then they can find me.
wonderful. Okay, lastly, not a great deal of pressure, but if you can you share a bit or a joke or something that you really love with us?
It's something that okay, just a joke that I
Sure.
really love.
Yeah.
Okay. It's from Red Fox.
Okay.
I just every time I hear this, I laugh. And it was from Sanford and Sons, and his son Lamont came in and said, "Look, Dad, I got this gun." And Red Fox said, "I don't want no gun in the house." And Sam says, "But it shoots 6 bullets." And Red Fox says, "I don't care if it shoots 6 bullets, and then when it runs out, it starts throwing rocks." I love that joke. Yeah, so
Wonderful.
that's
Well,
for, I mean, that is golden when something makes you laugh years later.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. B, thank you so much for joining us today. And you have a link tree. Do you also have a website? Yes.
Yes, bbaumann.com.
And that's BEEBAUMANN, correct?
Yes,
.com.
yes.
Wonderful.
And I do have some online comedy workshops coming up,
Okay.
stand-up communication workshops. So they can find that there on my website,
Wonderful.
bbaumann.com.
Well, B, it was wonderful. Thank you for joining us today, and hopefully we'll talk again very soon. Okay.
I hope so
Thank
too.
you.
Thanks, Yerkin. Have a nice night.
You too. Bye bye.